meeting to order. Would you be willing to do our
Roll call?
roll call?
I can do it. Yeah. Committee Member Toft?
Here.
Committee Member Trottier?
Here.
Committee Member Harney?
Here.
Committee Member Loughlin?
Here.
Chair Zierden.
Here.
Let the record reflect that Committee Member McKellar and Committee Member Williams are not here today. They did contact us in advance to let us know, so we can go ahead without them.
Okay, let's go ahead and do our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Let's see if sounds like there might be an amendment to our agenda for tonight.
Yes, will we have to approve, approval amendment
Approval.
agenda?
Yeah.
So Supervisor Zierden just has to jump out of here, so he wanted to know if we could just do staff reports first real quick. And then we would so staff reports item 9 would just be bumped up to right now. We'd make it like item 5 in the actual minutes. And then we would just proceed with the agenda as planned, assuming everybody's okay with that.
Does that sound good to everybody? Okay.
What time's your party for the football game, Joe?
Yeah.
No.
Oopsie.
We have children at home.
We do need a motion in a second.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda with the change in staff reports.
Okay.
And I'll second. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay,
Very good.
changes made. Go ahead.
I added my staff report. I just got it done today because we're still working. I mean, right up to meetings, basically. Some things got accomplished. Just kind of an update from the last meeting. First, we'll start with the Four Seasons Trail report. We actually have a spare bench we found in cold storage. So
nice.
that's good. That saves us a few $100s. Probably 2 to 3 weeks install. But in fall, our schedule kind of, weather can dictate it and, other things. So, but it'll no problem getting it installed. Probably when we start working there, we're gonna get all the items done. The dog waste signs, we have those, didn't have to purchase them. Trail sign adjusting, replacements. Yeah, Neil and myself will work on those probably the next couple weeks. New disc golf course updates. The last 2 baskets were installed. We finished parking lot shaping, graveling, seeding, approaches are in, culverts are in, reshaped the ditch. We used rocks on site to kind of give a definition to do multiple things, keep ATVs and such out of going down into it besides signage, but also, visually it looks a little better. Last council meeting, we were directed to do screening of the parking lot with vegetation. So if you've been by there, you'll see a small berm in between the 2 approaches. That's where we're gonna do it. We're gonna probably add a little more black dirt before we get to that. Right now, what I'm thinking is we'll use some of our remaining big rocks, we'll blend them in. We might do 2 sections of cedar fence. So we'll have a section and then it'll be separated and then another section so we can put like a low growing vine, something. I was directed towards hops. There's this hops plant that is not, it's a ornamental hops. Tough to kill, deer proof, drought resistant. I think that would give you something green but not blocking the view. I think, and then with the cedar fence, I think it could, help break a big open area up. And then I'm planning on the ends, probably planting 2 trees. Again, they'll grow over time, but they'll still allow, visibility, but I think it should improve the appearance. Not not significant dollars. I mean, I'm estimating it'll be under $1,000 to get everything done. Mulch, and then we'll mulch everything and put a perimeter of existing rocks to kind of contain it. October-ish is what I'm shooting for. I don't want, I want to plant it, do the plantings late enough so they don't have high water need. Because we'll water them through fall, but if they're dormant, should minimize it, and then hopefully in spring we won't have to be watering this stuff all summer just to get it to establish. The directional signs for out on the course are not here yet. I checked with the manufacturer. I mean, they're working on them. They didn't lose our order, but when they come, they'll arrive, and they're just basically a square that has an arrow, and then it has four holes on it. So out on the course, we can screw it to trees. We can make it go straight up, right, left with one sign, and then we'll put stick-on numbers so it makes sense how to travel. We have something similar on our old course. They'll get us by. General update, just for new members, just information. Bathrooms on the boat access, beach, disc golf course. Typically September, October is when that service is suspended. Kind of depends on weather. If it's very nice, they stay longer. If it's cold and we get snow, we stop it. So we save on expense. Buoys, beach steps, same deal. Usually some point in September those come out. We don't like to wait too late because the water gets really cold when we're out there dragging them out. And then the park bathrooms, they're not insulated or anything, so when freezing weather comes, we have to shut them down, so blow them out. Some years you'll have freezing weather, we shut them down and it warms back up. So typically when we shut them down, they're shut down for good. Any questions on anything?
Just real quick, I noticed the expansion parking lot was blocked off today. Was there any particular reason why?
I was directed to do that by the administrator.
Why?
I just do what I'm told.
Okay,
I can answer that question.
okay.
We thought in the interest of everything going on and, because the parking lot still technically isn't actually done anyways, we're still working on it. There was a safety concern, so we decided to block it off.
Okay. Any other questions at all?
I don't have any other staff reports, so we
All right.
can continue.
Great,
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just making sure. Open forum. Anybody wants to come? Make sure that we get, don't forget to skip that or anything. Yes, I mean, it is
Come on
open
up.
forum, yeah, it's kind of set up different this time. Yeah, I know, I'm like, I have to look behind me.
Did I turn
For
it on,
myself.
Mr. Curtin? Is the green light on? Sorry? Is the green light on the mic?
It is.
Oh, good. Just make sure.
Sounds like it's working, right?
We should-
Hi, everyone. Jonathan Curtin, 3709 Green Scene. I don't know if any of you had a chance to watch the last council meeting. My wife actually got up and spoke to some of the issues that we've been having with the disc golf course. I know that you are all discussing it tonight, so I thought I would just come. She couldn't be here. We've got kids in sports and things like that. So, and I guess I just wanted to start by maybe touching on or speaking to a large part of why Tracy and I settled in this area. A lot of it, has to do for us with the school. We've kind of moved around. Oh, okay, there it is. That's different. We've moved around a lot, especially with work and things like that, and we immediately fell in love with the school district here. It's phenomenal, and it's so much better than a lot of other places that we've been. And so that's really what, made us stay here. And so some of the things, if you've not heard, if you didn't watch the last meeting that we've been dealing with is, just I think things that shouldn't be happening behind people's houses. We've had an individual that's urinated behind our house. The way our house is positioned and the topography of that area, we start hearing folks when they're all the way on the other side of that hill because it just echoes right over it. And there's frequently groups that come by, swear. And I know that that's not something that we can control, right? You could walk along the street and someone could pass by you and swear. But what it boils down to for us is that, you know, it's kind of like your property is kind of something sacred. And for us, it's about raising our children. And I just, you know, in the same way that I know there's educators on this committee, if there are certain things that you couldn't control in your classroom, you know, I know that you wouldn't feel great about that. You would do everything in your power to change it. And that's what it boils down for us. I don't want to take away enjoyment or pleasure, you know, recreational pleasure from anyone. I think that there's solutions to things. There's compromises that we can make so that everybody's happy to a certain degree. But it is, you know, a situation that feels pretty untenable, I think, for a lot of residents in that area. I mean, I continue to talk to them. A lot of them don't want to engage because this is, you know, an intimidating process to go through. It's really difficult to go stand in front of council. I don't think it gets acknowledged enough when somebody does go and speak in front of council. And when some neighbors are just very private, they just, you know, they don't want to do it. So anyway, I know that this is something that you're discussing again tonight. And I guess I will ask again, I know I've asked before, I will not ask you to shut down or recommend shutting down the entire disc golf course, but I will ask you to seriously consider removing some of the baskets that are directly behind houses. You know, even if that is just a temporary measure for a year or so until we can further assess how things play out. I think it would remove a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress for a lot of the residents in that area, because that is definitely something that is in abundance right now. It is a high anxiety situation. And this weekend, you know, there's two events that have been planned, and, you know, I know the technical definition of a tournament is probably subjective until, you know, maybe this group defines it, but there are two events planned, so we're looking at an entire weekend again of folks coming through all day Saturday, folks coming through all day Sunday. So yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, kind of covers it. Thank you for listening.
Can I ask a question? How busy is it?
Sundays are the busy days, and people kind of, you know, come and go through the week. I don't know if I'd be able to put a number on it, but Sundays consistently, because I understand that those are the clubs, like, there's, I don't know what it is, but it's like a doubles event or something like that. It's their club day. So it's
And
consistent.
that's a weekly play date, I think.
Yeah, so it's consistently busy from the morning until, you know, the afternoon, various groups coming through. Sometimes you can tell that they're kind of in a group together, and otherwise it's just, you know, pairs, usually like 2 or 3 people. And yeah, I'm assuming Saturday will be busy as well. They've stated that the time is they'll start at 9, play the original, and then I think around noon they'll be playing, you know, the expansion. So it goes through to about 4 o'clock. So it's all day.
Okay.
I'm just going to make a quick comment. I also happen to live down from Jonathan, and since the trees have been taken out, I lived in a lake for 15 years, and I could hear people across the bay from where I was, and that's what's happened now. Those trees gone, I can hear all the conversations, just normal conversation, when these people are on the tee box or just walking through. I mean, I won't be going out on my deck this weekend, I can tell you that much.
Is there a bathroom out there on the expansion now?
No.
Okay,
No, there's no garbage cans. There's no big garbage can by the parking lot either.
yet, okay. So just the one on the original course, I should say, okay.
I actually do have something as well for open forum. Committee member Williams sent us something real quick.
Oh,
Just to call me out on some typos I made. She said she does have a few comments on page 16, just above the timeline of regular events, where it talks about future amenities. Community garden is the only item capitalized. Is that intended or a typo? It was a typo, I fixed it. And on page 18, the Park 6 Breezy Point Recreation Area, I believe it should also say and disc golf course, for the sake of informing the public that there's a disc golf in Breezy Point, and for clarity on signage directing people to the location who may not be local but visitors. A sign telling me there's a recreation area would not inform me that it is the site of the disc golf course. And that was all she sent to me. So we thought that was probably important to just bring your
Yes.
attention real quick before we dive in.
Thank you.
That's all I had, so if you want to take it away, ma'am.
all right. So what was the timeline one? I'm sorry.
The
It was just an error. Or
Yeah,
missed
I had
typo?
made a
Okay.
typo in community
Okay.
garden. I capitalized it when I shouldn't have.
Okay,
That was all.
okay,
She's good.
yeah, details. All right, any other open forum? Make sure I'm not, feels weird having our back this way.
No.
All right, but it is nice for a work session, so. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 6, our approval of our minutes. 6A is our regular park meeting minutes from August 10th it was.
I'll move to approve.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. And then 6B is the minutes from the workshop portion of the evening. We were focusing on
Section 2 parks.
section 2, yeah, so.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, Gil,
I can second that again.
okay,
I was just going to say, I like that you're adding Breezy Point to all the signs. When I talked to people that were on the beach and the fishing pier, 3/4 of people on the beach were staying at Breezy Point. You know, they didn't realize this is our public beach. And it's okay that they're using it, but,
Yeah.
you know, they did not realize that. I don't know if there's a sign that says that or not yet.
Breezy Point.
Yeah.
It's city, I think, too, because sometimes it does get, or City of Breezy
Yeah,
Point
yeah.
Park.
Yeah, and then the
or-
same thing with the fishing pier. You know, I like that we're going to get some recognition that that is the
Yeah,
city's.
this isn't the resort Breezy
Yeah.
Point. Yeah, because people do merge those together often.
Which, nothing wrong with the resort, but I'm just.
Yeah,
As
just-
long as this is on there,
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
City of Breezy Point, our logo. you know.
Recognizable logo.
Doesn't have to be in the name, but as long as that's there, for sure. Yeah, I think I
And I think
agree.
that's
So
part of
many
our
people don't
discussion
know.
of consistencies and as we do look at updating signs and all that down the road, so. All right, were we still in a motion
We had a
for the
second?
workshop?
On 6B.
Okay. All those,
Motion and a second. so
yeah,
yes.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, new business.
Okay, let me get this pulled up here real quick. Okay, so on September 5th, so as you guys have talked about a little bit in the past, we are currently in the process of developing a event permit for people to use the disc golf course for really the intention of this way this is written right now is kind of if there's an event going on like the one that's been talked about this Saturday or a tournament that would be separate for, you know, if the disc golf course wanted to do it for something like that. This would also, however, cover other events as well. It wouldn't just be isolated to just disc golf. But on September 5th, we brought a revised version of it before the council. They didn't like the initial draft. So we pulled it back before them. I kind of pared it down and took some things out, made it a little simpler, that kind of stuff. And they considered it on September 5th. They thought that the event permit was kind of okay the way it was, but wanted to get your guys' opinions on it before they went ahead with anything. Specifically, they requested, they wanted you guys to advise on enforcement requirements, public use permissibility during events, so if other people can use the disc golf course at the same time that events are going on, costs associated with reservations and charges, possible equipment expansions or course coverage, and tournaments associated rules and participation limits. So, you know, how are we defining tournaments? What are the rules surrounding those tournaments? And as well, are we limiting the number of people that can be involved in that tournament as we go on? So those are kind of the ideas that they wanted you guys to talk about today. The special event permit is there in your guys' packet if you want to look it over, take a look at it. And we wanted to chat with you about that. Additionally, Mayor Zierden and the council requested that a member of the Parks and Recs Committee actually come forward and present recommendations, not only on this item, but from items from you guys from now on. She seemed to think that having staff present was a little uncomfortable, or maybe something was getting lost in translation in the way that we were talking to council. So she requested that if one of you could be appointed to actually come in probably anytime you want to make a recommendation, possibly even at every meeting, every council meeting from now on, to present what happened in your meetings. They thought that that might be beneficial. So we can tackle these basically in any order you guys want.
Could we rotate?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you can do anything you want.
Well, I'd like to ask a question first, though.
And I've got a question about that too. Go ahead.
No, Deanne, you start.
Okay, so are other committees also going to start presenting, the Cemetery Commission or any other besides just?
It had not been brought up. It was just parks. We certainly hadn't asked the Planning Commission or the Cemetery Commission, and
Right.
they had directed that only parks was the only one they brought up. So if they want to do additionals on top of that, they'll need to say something and request it. But
Then-
right now, it'd just be parks.
Since we have a council member liaison to our committee, wouldn't it be appropriate that person is the person who reports back to the council? Because typically he's here.
Yeah. he
That
has
is
been there.
generally how it seems to have been done in the past. Well,
Right.
not seems, it has
It
been
has
done that
been
way
done in the past, exactly.
But the rest of the council and the mayor and everyone seemed to think that that was possibly insufficient for everything going on. So they requested that you guys consider reporting out yourselves.
Yeah, I've been at just about every council meeting for the last year and a half, and it does get lost in the translation when Mr. Barodi talks about what happened on their committee. It does it in about 45 seconds, and, you know, there's never talk about, well, a couple of people didn't agree, they thought this and that. So I think it's a good idea for us to rotate and let other people, you know, go up there and give their interpretation. Of course, they got to stick with what actually happened,
Yeah.
but I think it's a great idea personally.
I think there's more things happening now, you know, with the committee. There's more things
I have some-
pending.
yeah.
There's a lot of work we're doing, and it's pretty important the way we're looking at the long-term plans and all this stuff. So, but,
Aren't these, okay, I have a couple questions. Are these meetings that we're in right now not recorded?
No, it's recording right now.
So why can't the mayor and city council watch these videos like we watch city council videos? That's one question. You would have verbatim
Access to
our
that.
discussion. I'm personally, I would like to go as the chair, and maybe it does get, but my husband, our situation, I can't be out another evening. And he came home at 10:30 or 11 o'clock the other night from a city council meeting.
totally understandable.
So and I just feel like there are ways right now set up to be able to view, and we're totally transparent. I think maybe ask us to join if they still have questions after watching this. I don't know. That's a little bit hard for me to, I think that's way above and beyond of this committee. But that's just my 2 cents.
If
So,
we have something important, I don't think we should do it every time if there's nothing really that is needed to talk about. But if we have several people who would volunteer and rotate through it, I would. I go to a lot of them. Then I think it would be okay if we have something important, we can decide between the people who want to. You don't have to, and you
well,
don't
and
have
that's
to
the
feel
thing
bad.
is I want to. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not I am
can't,
if you
you know what I
know
mean?
me,
That's a
I'm a all-in person.
Right. No, that you shouldn't
So,
feel guilty.
but-
You got a lot.
I think we're looking at a couple of nights a year, as if we rotate, right? Because it's once a month. And if somebody can't, that's understandable, I think I like the idea because it feels like the council is making the Park and Rec a priority. Like we have some value now and they want to do some things and.
But why don't they listen? I guess that would be my question back to them. Why aren't they listening to these meetings then?
That's a lot of time. And there's
I
other
understand
meetings on
that.
top
There's
of
other
and
meetings I
workshops,
listen
just
to.
like you
I don't
guys,
know.
you
Now,
know?
if it could
we
be
can
put
still-
first on the agenda at the council meeting so that whoever was speaking could just do
Yes.
their piece.
Yes.
And if they have to leave, they can leave. Otherwise, or they can stay for the whole meeting, whatever they choose.
That might be a
mean,
good
it-
compromise there, yeah.
Like that.
I do also feel that if they watch the video and the recording of the meeting, that nothing's lost in translation.
It's a direct.
It's a direct, this is what
Because no
happened.
matter, I sometimes have to report back in my role at work. I have administrative meetings I'm in, and then I have to report back to team members. And I'm never going to get the exact words. So that is part of what I do like about, and I know it's time. I know that too. But I guess if you want to know what happened out of the horse's mouth, but that's just my piece. So I know that majority will vote or move or whatever the motion will be. But I personally feel like, I don't know.
So one other question I have is, if we choose to present, is it going to become a question and answer thing? Because that gets a little difficult to put that on the shoulders of one person when we're a committee, not just one person answering for the whole committee if we're doing question and answer. Does that make sense?
What I'm wondering too
It
is.
will be for sure.
Right.
You know
and
that.
that's
Yeah.
not answering for the committee then. That's me answering what I think the committee might say, which I don't know that any one of us should be in that position because we work together as a committee.
If it's not real clear to the person, then that should be brought back to us to be answered later.
I'd be happy. I've not once had a city council member reach out to me as the chair asking for clarification of anything. Not once. So I feel like there's things that could even be maybe a discussion over the phone if they're wondering something, or maybe I have a standing meeting with the mayor or something. I don't know, like to try to bridge this conversation and making sure things are more clear. I'd be happy to do that. I just am a little concerned about having a presentation for each city council meeting, but yeah, that's the thing, is I'm an open book and people just need to reach out to me. And I'm happy to, like I said, I haven't had one council member ask me anything about our committee.
I wonder if it's more for the public. I mean, I don't
maybe.
know. You know, if there's 7 of us, that's once every 7 months, one of us will get up there and make the
Yeah,
report.
once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, do we meet in November and December of this committee?
typically, yeah.
Okay.
We'll probably crank away on a lot of our master planning kind of stuff. It's a little bit less,
I plan to have all of you here.
yeah. So we'll just keep plugging away so we can get that stuff taken care of.
I personally like the idea. I just like that they were somewhat of an entity instead of just this like kind of little thing over here on the side, which it's been.
I think we just have to be very clear and consistent. And once we have, that's the one thing with rotation too, is each person has different interpretation. But
That's almost why it's better to have different people go every time than the same one.
right,
Well, I'll make a motion that we try this.
Is that a votable, were we just directed to do that, or do we vote on that, Daniel?
We're going to want to vote on this, yeah. So, because it was a request from council, so I will want an actual motion and a vote.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, let me finish it. That we do a trial of attending the council meetings, rotating the representation between our group, and we can switch off between ourselves if we have conflicts, and that we are at the top of the agenda after the approval of their minutes or whatever. How does that sound? Anything else?
And that we're there to give a report on our committee, because that's different than
Report.
report back on our committee, you know.
yeah. Yeah, it's
we'll
not
review
necessarily
it.
a question answer, or, I mean, I guess if there's questions about what we talked about, that wouldn't be, it's just, I don't want,
Not rationalizing a decision that was made,
right,
or a recommendation. It's not really a decision, a recommendation. That's not the purpose of being there.
I mean, everything's voted on and we can see, but we could also say and review it after 6 months, this arrangement, if it's a trial.
then, So many.
Two things real quick, just clarification, because you had talked about them before. I want to make sure they're included in the motion if you want to do them. You want it earlier on the agenda, not later?
Yep, she did say that.
The agenda after the approval of
Okay.
their agenda.
Okay. And then rotating through people, how do you want to choose members? Do you want to do it each meeting to see
Do
who's
we want to
available?
go alphabetical or something? So
Yeah.
just kind of,
Because someone will need to be selected for this next meeting.
Yeah.
That's in October.
okay, yeah, that would
So-
be,
It should be the board chair that goes first.
I sure can.
Not to put you on the spot.
Oh, well, let me just see.
Is it MEA week? No.
Calendar. Sorry. I'm
It's not alphabetical.
backwards through the alphabet.
There we
Well,
go.
is there anything that important at next month's, I mean,
So I have a meeting, so it'd be October 2nd, correct?
Now I need to look, hang on. Sorry.
Accepting all these. Accept.
Calendar, October.
So I would be available. I'm in meetings until about 4:30 that night, so.
Yeah, October 2nd,
and theirs is later,
that 6:30?
right? Yeah.
6:30 PM, October 2nd. So do you want to,
If this goes through, sure, yeah.
okay, so we'll do chair first and then alphabetical after that?
Sure.
Alphabetical last name?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we can, if someone has a conflict, we can contact each other and someone else can
Yeah,
stand it.
email
Yep.
within,
And see if the next person in the order of names could do it.
Okay. So like I said, this was a,
And then flip with them,
yeah, this was a request from them, so we've got a motion and a second. You still okay with that?
Yep, I'll second.
Okay, so Tops will second. Okay.
any further discussion? All right, those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so like I said, that was a request from them, so we will package that up, probably let them know ahead of time by email or something. I'll talk to David tomorrow about how we're gonna work that. And we'll go from there and see if the council's okay with it.
We can always come back and adjust or whatever too, so.
Cool.
So it'll be November then.
All right.
Okay, so that was the first thing. Now we wanna probably circle back around to the event permit
Permit.
itself. And start reviewing the event permit and going through some of the things that the council requested from you guys. We can just take them in the order that's on the memo if you want.
Sure.
That seems fine, okay. So the first thing they asked about was enforcement requirements. More specifically, I guess, what are we allowing on the course, what are we not allowing on the course? Rather than, yeah, honestly, yeah, what are we allowing and not allowing to happen on the course? And who's going to be enforcing it? Right now, our policy obviously is that if there's something on the course that's against the rules or incorrect, you have to report it to the police. Truth be told, I don't know how exactly we would change that because they are the enforcement arm of any ordinances or anything that would be in violation in the city. So, but they wanted you guys to talk about it to see your thoughts what did you want to do?
I have a question. Is this just then referring to event permit
Yeah, in regards
enforcement?
to, yeah, this event permit enforcement, yeah. Specific here for this.
Okay,
Well, enforcement is impossible unless one of us is walking down there and witnesses, somebody breaking one of the regulations we've posted. So, and I've talked to a couple of council members, this is what happens when you put projects together without having the afterthought about what the maintenance is going to cost and what the enforcement is going to cost. To me, I think we should have extremely stiff penalties, and we coerce Sergeant Garcia to go down there one weekend, spend an hour just walking around. There'll be somebody, I've never seen the garbage cans not have any empty alcohol containers, and he'll find somebody, they get nailed, they get suspended for a year from use of the course, or a $150 fine, or both, and that will push back, I think, a lot of the behavior that we don't want back there, in my opinion.
is there a place anywhere in this maybe certification waiver, where it's clearly even just, I was wondering if it could be referenced what penalty, the code or what we have, so they know the expectation going into it, or acknowledge the code.
Right now,
No
there's not.
alcohol, no, but maybe that's something that they initial and just to make it, that was one thing that I thought of having it, just so it's very clear to whoever's filling this out. Now, the enforcement, I guess, is another thing too, but at least acknowledge, having it on here, I think would be wise.
What would you have on there?
Like,
No alcohol, no smoke.
Specific.
the very
So it's
specific
the-
of that
yeah.
code within the application, and they have to initial or something that they've read that?
No
or-
cannabis, I'm assuming.
Right.
Did we adopt the
Smoking,
county
the-
The city
regs
ordinance,
on
what did
that?
they do with that? Did they
Daniel,
just-
did we adopt the county regs on that?
Not yet. So the county went back and was tweaking it a little more. Not tweaking it, they wanted to take some more time to talk about it.
What do you think's going to happen there?
They already passed it. The county passed it literally, I think, like
So
yesterday.
we'll probably just adopt theirs, I would assume.
Yeah, that was what we had planned on, was we're just going to adopt the counties. So in October, it'll go before the council. We already did the public hearing, so we shouldn't need to do another public hearing again. I'll double check with Administrator Chansky, but I'm pretty sure about that. And they'll go ahead and probably just adopt the county ordinance as is. And then it'll be, our ordinance will just mirror the counties. It'll be on the record, yeah, they're not supposed to have cannabis.
So whatever they have blurbed, I mean, maybe it's just an acknowledgement of
Right.
city code, and then it includes or county, yeah.
Wording.
And then they have to initial, I don't know. That was one thing that I thought of, that
Well, I
trying to
think
be more
that's-
proactive and make it very clear.
And that's not just handing the paper and they turn it back in, but maybe somebody, when they go to turn it in, that part has to be done with a staff member. I don't know. It's different than filling it out online and saying, click, here you go, to someone to explain, now, do you understand that this is, and you're signing that you understand these rules?
And this is a step up what we're doing here, and hopefully we all take it serious so that this stuff actually gets filled out. Like the proof of insurance, I think we should demand a proof of insurance once they bring this paperwork in. I talked to an insurance guy who's been in the business 40 years. He said every city that has something like this going on should have a proof of insurance where they're listed as an extra insured on the policy. But I got a little ahead of myself there, but yeah, I think what you talked about, Megan, putting this, what we expect behavior-wise, and that there will be penalties, they will be enforced,
Correct.
is a good thing. No one can say, well, we didn't know.
Just being proactive and clear.
Is it usually a club that's doing,
Yes.
So this
You know,
should be
part of the
something
part
that,
of the enforcement of this could be if somebody in that event that you are organizing breaks the rules, your club pays the price.
Right.
Which is, you can't
Absolutely.
play
Yeah.
in the course. You can't
Yeah.
hold other events, or, so that there's a high.
Yeah, the
Is there
business or
any-
organization has to pay the price.
Yeah.
So they're the ones filling out this form, and so are we gonna have a fine of $300? And then no using the course for a year, banned from the course for a year or something like that? If they don't comply to city and county?
If we can enforce it, yeah, I think that'd be great.
Well, we have to say that. And
Do we have anything right now for fines other than just the basic, like open, like if law enforcement were to find somebody to have alcohol anywhere?
Misdemeanor, I think it's a
Just a-
$35 or $50 ticket, I
Okay.
think.
No, we don't have any,
Okay.
part of the reason we're
Okay.
doing the event permit
Yep.
is to
Okay.
kind of get
I think
those
it
out.
should be at least $100. I mean, especially if,
That
do we
would be
have any
nothing.
idea on other area places, say a pickleball tournament that's going to take place at Cross Lake? Do they have something similar, and what would that fine be? So there's some consistency in the area. Because I know Cross Lake has done 2 pickleball tournaments in the last month, because I've been seeing a lot about it. I'm assuming they had something similar to this, that they had to fill out, the organizers of the you know, it would be a similar idea, right? So I'm just curious, like,
Although
what
they're
are,
very contained.
well, they
You
are,
know, the
but
plague
they
and not
still need to
wandering
have.
around in the woods.
In the
you know.
middle of a residential area also? I mean,
It is.
this course
There's
is right in the
people that
middle.
walk right by there, and there's people playing at that playground with their kids, and people using the trails behind there. It's a very heavily used area. And I was just curious, like, that would be something easy for us to check into, like, what are this, you know, what happens if they break the rules?
I think ours is unique, though, and I don't think a fine of $100 is unreasonable, and a year ban from using the course.
$100 is nothing.
Well, I said 3, and then it went down.
Yeah.
So I don't care what the fine is, whatever.
Yeah.
But a fine of some dollar amount and a ban, and that has to mean someone catches them doing it. So we have neighbors who will be on the lookout.
Yes, we will.
So I think, you know, if they see something going on, they report it. See something, say something, get the police over there. And then they have to follow all city and county codes or ordinances or whatever we call it, laws. Do we want to add that to the form then?
I like your idea of initialing it.
Yeah.
I think that's important, because you're agreeing to that.
I think there should be a fine and a ban of something. I just don't, I don't even have a clue of,
Right.
you know, like I said, $100, like I don't have any reference.
We referenced what a $50 misdemeanor is what.
Yeah, I think it
having
needs to
alcohol in
be
the park
more
would
than
be.
that, especially if it's a
Yeah.
tournament and
Yeah.
it's a bigger thing, but I don't know, 500 or 1,000, like, I feel like I need to,
That's why I was wondering, like, what did Cross Lake do with their pickleball thing?
I'm thinking like if there was a school thing or, you know, what I'm used to. Is that something that we could,
What's the cannabis ordinance? Isn't it $300 fine?
I actually do not know off the top of my head.
I thought I heard that at the meeting that they first started talking about.
I have no idea what it is off the top of
Okay.
my head right now. I would need to check that with, I would need to actually read through the ordinance.
I think,
Because it
there-
just got, like I said, it got approved.
We could
like
get it in there
yesterday.
and just get back on the dollar amount. We could put that, a fine of whatever. and
I
then
think
get
that there
back.
should be a fine and a ban. I just don't know
The length of
the
time
numbers.
and the money.
I will say, just for clarification, this will not come back before you. So
This
the
will go to
council's
them.
request was
So they
that,
can
yeah,
make
this
it.
will go to them. So
Let them make
if
the
you
dollar
direct
amount.
us to kind of figure out the fine, we'll figure it out and then we'll present it
We'll
to
just say
council.
a
Okay.
fine of X,
But
and they can decide.
I'm
Good.
comfortable with
were-
that, but I
they
think
wanted it in October.
doing a little research on, because I definitely agree that having one, I think, will help. And I like the idea of initialing it. I think doing a little research on what's reasonable before we just throw out a dollar amount, because maybe it's more than $100. I mean, that to me seems like nothing. If you have a club and you have 25 people, you know, that's not a lot of money for each person to pitch in for the fine. I mean, I don't know, maybe it is reasonable, but maybe it's not enough.
Oh, I thought we were talking for the individual. So you're talking the whole club gets fined that amount.
Whoever does the permit,
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is the
well, I
club.
think it should be at least $300 to $500 then, so it hurts.
I do too. That helps the club
Yeah.
manage
It
this.
does. It
Yeah.
does.
puts responsibility on them to be overseeing and, yeah. Sorry.
So
I would just like to, I don't know. I guess too, if it is a cannabis thing and that's a X amount of dollars, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I would like to see the expectations included with some initials acknowledgement of those, and then some sort of a fine and a ban, but the numbers, I'm not, that's where I stand right now. But
And
if we could send that forward.
Not grouped into one, if they have to initial a couple of times, there's a little more impact of having things separated out to say, no alcohol use.
Alcohol, initial,
Yes, no.
no
so-
cannabis,
No smoking.
smoking.
Right.
Initial.
Because
Yeah.
then you're agreeing to these separate things and
You're a little bit more likely and bold.
and just saying, oh yeah, I'll sign this, and it's a huge paragraph. There's not a ton of accountability with that sometimes.
Can we ask the council to, I mean, we give this feedback, is that enough feedback for them?
On that that particular
In that
bullet.
particular,
I
I guess you
honestly,
can't
that's
assume
kinda
what
up
they're
to
gonna
you
say,
guys. Do
yeah.
I feel like it's enough feedback? I mean, it probably meets the requirements of what they asked for, but it could be less or more depending upon.
Yeah, let's pick a number out, a high number, then they can go down or up, because they're.
Yeah, I was gonna say
We're
that-
just recommending.
He's correct. That's what I was about to recommend, was if you pick a number, then they can fight over it.
Yeah,
I say $500.
I agree with that.
They do make money on this, so.
Very much, they raised $5,000, $6,000, that money's changing hands.
Most of them are nonprofits. The money goes to the prize money, but they have to keep
Right.
their people in order, and they should get the fine out of the person who does it.
Well, that's their
You
problem.
know what I mean? That's-
But
yeah,
that's their
that's their
problem.
problem,
You know,
so-
however they decide to get the
Exactly.
money out of the person,
Exactly.
but,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
I was thinking about,
Why don't we just say we recommend $500, and they can do whatever they want with it?
I know like when I don't know, I just feel that's a little high. But I recently got a speeding ticket in Pequot.
Yeah,
And that stung, and that was $225 or whatever it was. I mean,
yeah.
This is
So
an
it's
event.
not-
This isn't a
it's-
single person. This
I
is
know
an
that.
event.
I-
So, and
And I think clarifying that if these events are going to be held, that we want it to be welcoming to all, including the people who live nearby. But there's regulations, and if you're going to hold your event here and you don't agree with the regulations, there are
Another place,
consequences. And if we aren't okay with the regulations, then we need to change it. But, I mean, it needs to be reasonable, but they need to know going into it that this
Right.
is the way the city runs the
That's true.
parks.
right?
And there is.
Even say that part should be, even before just who their organization is, and A would even be, like, these are the regulations. You know, you have to comply, you're going to initial that first, that you know there's a fine, that you know you will be.
Well, you kind of need all the
you
information.
need all this information first, but
I will just.
They
say
might
from-
not want to, if it's a $500 ban and they can't
Just from a
control their
technical
whole group.
perspective, just to clarify, I would probably put the.
Or at the
end, yeah.
You need to comply signature thing on the last page, above the actual, because signatures together, you know?
Everybody reads all this, right?
Yeah.
Down to the
But if they have to
letter.
stop an initial,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
that'll help.
I think the breaking, separating each piece of those expectations, I think that draws more attention.
I mean, we're
to it.
talking about 3 areas, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah. Alcohol, smoking, cannabis is the 3 that we're talking about. Yes? Okay. I think they should be 3 separate initial lines.
All right, so maybe we just recommend at least the $500 ban for use of a year.
An individual's cost banned for a year.
1
Unless-
year.
I don't know if we,
No, this is for the event. So whoever, it's the club that would lose the right.
Yeah, the entire.
All
club
the
would-
players in that
for the full
club.
year.
The club would be banned. From what you're talking about, yes, if they were found to be in violation, we would charge them, let's say, $500 as a fine, and then we would say you
Well,
cannot play again for a full year.
I'm fine with that, but the council will never vote for that, but yeah, let's put it in there for sure. Then we're taking the strictest viewpoint of it, which I like, and they can part back however they decide.
So I'll make a motion, or no, you.
We
you
do
had-
need a
you-
motion on this. yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we add the expectations with initials.
Yep.
A $500 fine and a 1-year ban to the club.
The only thing I'll add to that is you mentioned, do you want me to add something in here for, they actually have to hand me a physical copy of their insurance for proof of insurance?
Yo, they should
I
have to
think
do.
there
Well, we're not
should
done yet, 'cause we
be-
gotta talk about cost yet, don't we?
Yeah.
This is the first one
This is just the first
First bullet.
bullet.
Oh, you guys had just talked about under liability insurance there?
Yeah,
Yeah, you brought
I
that
kind of
up.
got way ahead of myself on that, because that's at the end of
That's okay.
page 2.
Okay.
Well, I think we
I think this
should,
goes with enforcement piece of it.
right, and they're not going to want to do that, because it's going to take a little work to get a proof of insurance. But I think that's a necessity, if we're going to have 300 people back there. I just think that's something to protect the city we need to do.
Yeah,
under
just
the-
for context, that's a pretty simple thing to do. Like on the other things, I have in like bold italics, I say, please provide on the site plan. Underneath that, I would add that same box, and I would just say, you need to provide proof of insurance
yeah,
with
awesome.
your application.
Even if it's just a copy of
Yeah.
something or
Yeah, and that's usually what it is,
documentation.
but Breezy Point is added as an insured,
Yeah.
the city.
Yeah, some sort of a document verifying that.
I think clubs that run these events often, that's not going to be unreasonable.
No.
I mean, I've helped organize many ski races. That's not an unreasonable question.
all the time,
You
yeah.
do it all the time.
Yep.
Okay, so just to
Yep,
make
so
sure we're
on
clear
the
on the
table,
motion.
yep.
There is a motion currently on the table. What I'm hearing from what you said is the add a section for the no alcohol, no smoking, no cannabis thing. You want the initials on each of those. That'll be sort of on that last page probably. That's the acknowledgement of that. The proof of insurance notice requirement goes in there as an enforcement piece. The organization, if they're in violation, and language will be added for that as well. $500 fine, banned for a year. I think that's everything.
That was everything.
But what you said, Bill, does that have to be in this, where they have to have Breezy Point as, is
Well, we
that
can-
necessary?
It'll be on the proof of insurance. If they provide a proof of insurance, it'll say that.
Okay,
know,
but do we
it'll-
need to put that in? No.
I don't know.
That Breezy Point is a or?
Yeah, is listed as an insured on the policy. I mean, they just whoever is running this organization has some sort of liability policy. The assumption is maybe they don't. They should if they don't.
Yeah, they do.
But they just call their insurance company, their agent, and just say, I need
Yeah,
a
they
proof of
just add
insurance.
it and then,
Yeah,
yeah.
in fact, and they can just carry it around with them and show you, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not that hard.
Right.
So I don't think it needs to say, like, we need to specify. I think that's something we watch for, but
I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not an insurance expert.
Like, I
will
know,
actually
like,
need
we
to
had to
speak
show
the
proof-
attorney about that one.
we had to
'cause
show
I'm
proof
not-
of insurance to just
Yeah.
change to a new storage unit. We were able to add that on and give it to them.
Yeah.
It's,
I'll follow up though with the
That's
attorney and
we-
with
with the
Yeah,
administration.
that's a good idea, to see how that wording should be.
I bounced this off a commercial insurance guy, and that's what he said he's done for people that host, advanced golf tournaments or whatever.
Okay, yeah, we'll work that language.
Are we still going over this
motion.
form?
Yeah.
Then,
Well, we're still
voting
in
on the
motion right
Okay,
now.
we'll
so
go motion.
Technically, we're
Okay.
discussing a motion right now, I suppose, but
that all sounds good to me.
that sounds good. Okay, can we get a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. All right, so topic number 2.
Wait, this form still? I'm still on it. I have one more question.
Oh, no, we're not even close to done with the
Oh,
form.
we're not.
Oh, no, we got
got a
4 more
There's-
bullet points to
We
get
have
through.
4 more things to go through.
That's all the form. yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by all means, though, if you had a specific question that you wanted to ask, you go right ahead.
I'll wait.
Okay. So the second topic was public use permissibility during events. Specifically, what the council wanted to know was your guys' feeling about, is this a reservation permit? So they come in, they pay the whatever fine we settle on, they fill it out, they submit it, the council then approves it, and then that day, that tournament is, or that event, or whatever it is the only thing going on? Or are people allowed to go in and interact with the course in other ways at the same time? Generally, in most municipalities, when they do things like that, yeah, it usually means that they're reserving it for sole use.
Yes.
But they wanted to know your guys' thoughts on that, if you thought sole use was okay or not, or if it was, what were the guidelines, or any thoughts on that?
Part of this came up too, because at the city council meeting, they were talking about, like, if you rented this whole park, could people use the kickball, and can they use the gazebo, and what pieces and all that? So I think that's partly where it came from.
To me, it depends on the fee we charge. For $100, no, anybody can still use it, in my opinion, then. But if we're going to charge them $500 or $1,000 for a tournament, which is going to tie it up, and I think they were talking about that ties it up for 3 days. I think we should limit it to 2 days max, but we should have a big enough fee. And then I think if they pay the fee, then they should have exclusive use to it, because then that's contributing to the maintenance costs that go
Cost
with
of it,
this.
yeah.
Right. And, just an aside real quick, Shane Humphrey indicated that he had $1,000 per hole sponsorships lined up, ready to go, and I'm assuming we haven't seen any of that money yet.
No.
Yeah, that would be $36,000, he said at 2 meetings. So I'm for charging as much fee as we can, frankly.
Comparing, as we talked about, to other tournaments and whatnot, the talk was $100 per day per course, is what I've been hearing, and that is higher than most other courses in the state.
Okay, so just to clarify, so originally when we put this forward before them, it was more of kind of an event permit proper for the entire city, was kind of how we were thinking about it, so that we weren't just kind of isolating out one park, because it's a little odd, but the council kind of pulled back on that. Originally, my recommendation was probably it would be a 3-day consecutive event permit, and it was going to be like $250 per each course, with the idea that if they wanted to reserve the entire disc golf course for like a weekend, it would be $500 for that.
Yeah.
The council kind of pushed back on that. They didn't
You're
like
not
that
gonna
idea.
It's not going to happen, because that's not in the realm of what others are doing in the state.
Yeah, so we
They're
What
going
do
to go
we-
somewhere else, is what
What do
you're
we
saying.
charge
Yeah.
for like our pavilion? What do we charge for our building?
If it's
Deb,
okay,
do
could
you know
we
that?
back up for half a second,
Yeah.
because we're in public use permissibility right now, and we're going to talk about costs.
Yeah.
And literally the next item. So if we could back up for just a second here, can we put that on hold for 2 seconds, and then I can talk to you guys about it at the start, and then
I think they're tied together.
I think they're
though.
tied
They
together.
are,
Okay.
because if someone's paying, and I don't care what the amount is, they're paying
Right.
for the tournament, they're paying to clean up, the insurance, all that they need, and this kind of event.
That's a major
and sport,
commitment. Yeah.
You can't have people wandering around. I mean, anyone can be a spectator, I think, but they cannot play on the course during the hours of play.
Well, in reality is you wouldn't want to. I mean, you're
wouldn't
in the
want to,
middle of
that would be
somebody's
crazy.
tournament,
That'd just be silly.
Like golf tournaments, it's
Right.
just a regular golf course. I mean, people are not
Walking their dogs
going right in the middle of
course.
that. Yeah.
It's definitely a sole use for those hours. That's what I think, for sure.
I saw your chart, which was very thorough about what other cities charge, and I called 3 of the larger cities to find out what kind of parks they are. Not one is in the middle of a residential area. One of them in Cottage Grove has an apartment complex that abuts against one of the holes. So again, going back to, I think we should charge as big a fee as we can, because we are in the middle of a residential area. And it's just different than any other setup that I can find for concerning disc golf course setups.
What did we charge previously for the old course?
we haven't charged anything.
Okay, we haven't.
And what is our goal? To cover the maintenance costs, to turn people away because the fee's too big? I mean, what's our goal here? If we're covering the maintenance costs, are we trying to make money? I don't think that's our
They're not going to
purpose
cover the
here.
maintenance. It's over $40,000 to maintain that.
No, I meant for the tournament
the
weekend.
weekend.
The trash,
2 days or-
any repair.
They're taking their own
yeah.
trash out. some of them.
Okay,
I mean, we can
okay.
require that too, that they take their own trash out.
Then I think it should be in line with covering the costs for that weekend, not for a year, for the weekend. I mean, we're a city. Our goal on a shelter isn't to make money off our reservations. Our goal on the shelters is to help people reserve it and then help the extra costs of maintaining maybe the bathroom or the extra use on the facility during that time, correct? As a public, I mean, a park should be something for the community to enjoy.
It should be cost neutral. a regular park like what's right back here, 97% of the people in the city used and participate in using that park. Disc golf, the last tournament they had there, 2 of 91 were from Breezy Point. Everybody else was from out of town. So I don't know how many, 1 or 2% of the city residents are actually using that. Right now in this country, we got more people working multiple jobs in the history of this country. People are struggling, and for us to put any more burden on the taxpayers, I just think we got to always keep our constituents, the people that voted for our council members and that we talk to, we got to keep that in the forefront.
I feel like, I know it does take some costs, but we've been running this course for a while. I do think that there needs to be a fee. I actually liked the idea of 200 or the 250 per
250.
Per
side-
course.
Per course.
For
Because
a
maybe they
for a
would,
3-day event?
maybe 2 days, I'm thinking.
Yeah, for a week, Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah,
2 days.
A 2-day event, 250, maybe
Per course,
Side,
per side. And
500 a day then.
500 a
500 for-
weekend for 2 days.
for the 2
No,
days.
that would never, we're going to have nobody. And if that's the goal, I know some people
Well,
would like that
that's
to be
the
the goal.
question, is that the goal?
Right.
If we want people to actually use this, and we don't, then why are we even sitting here wasting our time making up all this stuff? Because no one's going to pay that. That's not,
And so what have
Well, I
you
was
seen
just
for
looking at-
that you have the costs? Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, so then for the meeting room, which is this, is 100. And that's for,
2 days? It's probably for your meeting,
It's-
probably.
pretty much all the groups that are coming are nonprofits.
yeah.
So they're not businesses who make profit as a,
Okay, what if we did like 150 per side for 2 days?
we get to decide, it's the council anyway, so it's not up to us for the dollar amount.
But
They actually
we
did
want,
request
we
a
gave a
dollar.
recommendation for a fine. There, I think we can
Right,
give a
I mean, we can
recommendation
recommend, but I mean,
for,
it will still not be us.
I know.
And I think they've already talked about it.
Yeah,
And compared, and so I don't think we need to waste too much more time going back and forth on it, because that won't end up being our number anyway, but we could put forth what we recommend.
It could be in line with what we're charging for other facilities in the,
so maybe,
So it's $100, if they rent this room, is that what you're saying?
$100.
It's $100 for one night.
one day.
$100 a day per side? Or is that,
It's got to be in line with what the other courses are, not what rooms rent for.
Yeah, I don't care what the other courses are charging. This is our city, our course. We can charge whatever we think is fair.
Reasonable. It has to be in some kind of alignment with, it can't be.
These aren't nonprofits giving money to charity. These are nonprofits that don't even have a 503B. All they do is just get together, gamble all this money, and hand out prize money. That's all they do. It's not a charitable organization.
Didn't say it was.
You said it was nonprofit, and that typically
That's two
indicates that
different
it's.
things. Yeah.
But they come here to get money, to hopefully win and make money.
The people playing, yeah. And the people organizing it are doing it for the
they
love
also
of the
come
game.
because they're passionate about playing disc golf and they're spending
Love of the
time
game.
outside with friends and we have
Like
the
any other
facility. It's
activity.
Like, yes.
Regular golf, people go out and want to have a social activity that's fun to do.
So what would be in line with some of the, I haven't seen those numbers of other courses in,
Cottage Grove was 300. I think St. Cloud was 250. Was it, Daniel?
what's the time frame with that?
Let me pull something up here real quick from the previous meeting. If I was intelligent, I would have included it in your guys' memo, and I didn't because I'm not.
Okay.
So now you get to look at my file structure. I believe it's this one.
Probably more organized than mine.
I believe this is what I presented, yes. So this is what, just poking around, I tried to kind of keep to the area as best I could and tried to kind of find places that were maybe similar. The big problem we ran into is most places don't really actually reserve the disc golf course, especially smaller communities. They'll maybe reserve the pavilion on the disc golf course, but they don't actually like reserve the disc golf course. And most of the places I called were
St.
like,
Cloud is 250 for a large course.
yes, they have two different courses.
For 2 days? Or
That's
one
for
day?
just one event, essentially.
Okay.
So like if they wanted to do that event and the event was 2 days, they would still probably just do the 250. But then they have a different one event for $50. That's a different, St. Cloud's a little complicated
Yeah.
because they have like actual
Variety.
like passes that they do where it's
Right.
one event, 6 events, unlimited for the entire year. They got pretty
But our
complicated.
course is probably a good comparison to their large
Yes.
course.
Size-wise, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So can we just recommend $250
Per event.
per event?
Okay, here's 100 per course per day. So if they do a 2-day, that's 400.
Could be $400.
And I think, and that's what I got from Shane. What he said would be, it's more than what they've paid, but he would go there, make it work.
I don't think they have to dictate it either.
No, I don't.
I just said this is
Yeah.
the one idea that I got
So
from them, which
let's say-
wasn't what they liked, but they would go. They would
If they're
go
going to
there.
use both sides, it's 250. And per day, I
St. Cloud number is only 18 holes.
Yeah, that's one course. So this is 2 courses.
Right, we have 2 courses.
Yeah, so that's 400. So anyway, that's the number that is higher than what they're used to, but they would do it. But that's.
would say 250 for both courses per day. If it's a 2-day tournament, is that, I mean,
Put
I
it
guess
down.
that's 500.
Let's do it because
I don't know.
it's not our number anyway. It's going to go to the
per
council,
event.
and they can decide.
Well, you know, if we're going to limit it to just the people, the club,
You're paying
we
somewhat
we
for the
shouldn't have
privacy
really a
of
3-day
having.
event, or it's a higher fee, right? Because they're tying up the course from public use.
That's why if we do it per day, then they can choose 1 day, they can choose 2 days if they want to pay more.
So
Yeah, I'd say per
So
day.
sole use, if you're willing to pay $250 for all 36 for a day. Or no?
Or if they want one course and then, no.
To me, the $200 seems reasonable
200?
because it's easy to split up that way. 100
Per
if you want,
course?
Per course, per day.
Per day.
Yeah.
You can add that up, and if it's 2 days, then it's $400 to use both.
We were saying 500 for the 2 days, but really 400, yeah.
500
That is
seems
easier to
extreme
split
to
it
me.
if they only wanted 118
Yeah.
or the other 18.
Right.
Yeah.
That would
So
be my
200 per
recommendation.
course per day.
We'll tell you what we're going to summarize here in a moment.
100 per course per day, 200 for both courses for a day,
Oh,
which would be $400 for a 2-day event instead of $500, which is what we were thinking.
and the number you guys are talking about is reservations sole use, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
just making sure.
Let's,
But that also helps because that way people aren't, the course organizers that, or the event organizer that way aren't responsible for people who wander onto the course and aren't covered under their insurance. And they're not watching to see if they're following the rules. That way, if it's sole use,
Right.
that means that you're responsible for the people that you bring into the event.
Well, if one of their
Spectators,
people
though.
hits somebody with a disc, say cracks their skull, they will be, that insurance policy will cover it and it won't hit our city. Even if one of us is wandering around and gets hit,
We can still
their
be
insurance will cover
spectators.
it.
Yeah, I think they want spectators, you know.
Well, they're talking
But we have
300,
to
they were
be-
talking 300 people at one point. Well, I'd say I think we should be more, but you guys, let's get a vote and move on to the next item.
yeah.
I'll make a recommendation or a motion that we recommend charging 100 per course per day that is exclusive use of
What
the
if they say
course.
it won't be exclusive? Then what?
If they say
Yeah.
it won't be.
What if they say, no, we don't care if anybody else is on
to,
there?
Well, they could say they don't care.
They'd be
But they
insane
still-
if they're
they're
paying the
still paying.
insurance, you know?
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll keep me from putting up a tent, say, in the middle of a fairway, because it's their exclusive use of the course.
I think we could what if our way through this though too. I
Yeah.
mean, and
Let's
we'll be
just
here all
say-
night,
Yeah,
so.
agreed.
Sometimes you have to start it and try it, and if we need to make
can
changes, we
modify.
make changes. I mean,
This isn't in stone.
that, if
issues,
it doesn't go well, then
It
we
can
make
come back
changes.
and- yeah. So I'll second the sole use of $100 per course per day,
I'll second.
or
With
So-
exclusive use.
She made a motion,
With exclusive use.
Okay.
and I second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay, strong nay.
All right, motion carries.
Okay.
Another recommendation is to wait for full foliage growth to ensure the tree buffer on the course for the neighbors. So estimating May 15th to September 28th for tournaments only. So we don't
For the
have them
foliage?
when there's, and came from Shane. I'm like, you're the expert, help me here. I don't know what to say. I'm not going to make this stuff up. That makes sense to me.
It just bothers me
Thoughtful.
taking order from a guy who doesn't even live in the city. You
We're
know
not
what I
taking
mean?
any
It just
orders.
bothers
This
me.
is someone who's an expert, and I actually think Wade was our ambassador for the other course, and we should have an ambassador, someone who knows what they're doing and is part of it, who's an expert, who's been doing it, who has a passion for it, and who knows what's going on in the world of disc golf. And I thought that was very, very
Considerate.
considerate and very smart to recommend that we limit the calendar for tournaments between May 15th and September 28th. So I think that should be one of our recommendations. Does that make sense?
I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally, you want someone in there thrown in the middle, you know, and wrecking new growth and all that stuff.
So what's our definition of a tournament is, like, they're having something there this weekend, and they're not calling it a tournament, it's an event.
Well,
So they-
that's what the permit is event.
Yeah, but according to what, so an event won't be able to take place either once we have this completed, is that right, Daniel?
Yes.
Okay,
That's why it says event.
all right.
Well, that doesn't include like weekly.
Group of people,
weekly
friends that
group
go out and play.
or whatever.
They can just do that.
As long as it's not like an official event where they're gathering and they're doing stuff. If they're just going out,
Voting is an
It's their
event?
weekly,
five
you know,
people,
what do you
10
call
people
it?
throwing a
Golf.
disc, yeah, we wouldn't consider that an event. But unless the council directed us to consider it an event, then we would
So
consider
is
it
there
an
a
event.
number of people that all of a sudden turns it into an
That's
event?
why we wanted to talk to you guys about it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. Because
Yep.
does, 15 people equate an event, or does 50 or 100? I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm thinking, what if there was a family, and here's another what if, but family,
extended family.
yep, and you are having a family reunion, and you want to go do that. I don't want to charge a family.
No, I think you're right,
Yeah.
exactly. But they're charging entry fees and then paying out
Right.
to the winner. To me,
So-
that's an event, that's a tournament.
Yeah.
That's what we're getting at, I think. Family reunion, God bless, go use it.
Yeah.
Okay, can we stop and get this one? Do we finish that now? And now we're on to the number of people?
Have costs associated with reservations and charges.
Which I think we covered
Possible
before,
equipment expansions or course
Permissibility.
coverage.
which we have not covered yet.
Okay.
Can we make a motion on the dates for big tournaments? And we'll decide the number after we,
Well, that would be the last bullet
think
of
that is the last
associated
one.
rules.
You can make
Okay.
a motion if you would like, ma'am. Anyone on the
Okay.
table is always authorized to make a motion if you would.
Should we just get through the other bullet and then we'll do that one? Because that will be part of that associated rules.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I'm writing it down so we don't forget it.
So then are we thinking of backing up for a second and doing the equipment expansions and course
Yep.
coverage first?
Can I ask one question about events, though? Are we going to limit the number of events?
That is a question that they wanted you to consider tonight as well. That's the last bullet point again.
That's the last, okay.
All of that was intended for us to, I was just going to drag in.
Kind of lump it together.
Go.
Yeah.
What was the possible equipment expansions or course coverage? Is that they're talking about the foliage for course coverage?
There was talk about foliage, there was talk about blinds, there was talk about silencers on the little clinky net things that they toss the discs into, baskets, there we go. There was talk about all kinds of stuff like that at varying points throughout this entire process. So they wanted to know what your guys' thoughts on, are we adding blinds like to some of the holes? Are we constructing a wall next to some of the holes? Are we putting silencers
not-
on stuff? Like, what-
We don't know. I mean,
So I guess I see this almost as a combined with the last bullet point too. If we try to do some natural buffering by limiting dates and having foliage and the number of events, I don't imagine going out there and having
To me, a wall is extremely obtrusive and
in a natural and
we've already been through all that discussion.
And
But I think as we start using it, if things become apparent that there's something needed, we're going to take action on it at that time.
well, and Joe
We
has
won't know
given us
until we
good
really-
recommendations on
We're not going to just sit
Adding
and let it go, you know, we'll
foliage
move.
where it's needed.
Yeah, it
and-
takes time.
But I haven't heard the conversation
We
about
talked about-
adding walls
Oh, yeah,
ever.
we talked
It
about that
was-
and trees and everything, but the amount of time it takes for it to
Yeah, and who's going to water the trees? I mean, that's just not feasible.
Yeah.
I think the silencers would not be a bad idea. And the club, the Breezy Point Disc Golf Club, Humphrey said they would pay for that.
But, yep, we did talk
what
about
are
signs.
silence?
I don't even know
I'm
what
sorry.
that does.
So the
I don't know
chains
exactly.
don't
The
clink.
chains don't make noise.
what it is it's like a little foam tube that goes in the middle of the basket. It just
Hit
wraps
the
around it
metal
so that when
pole, not
yeah,
the
metal
chains
pole in the
necessarily,
middle.
but when it hits the pole, it won't clang it.
It doesn't hit metal on metal, so it's like a little foam thingy so that the chains don't smack into the middle of it.
I like
That's all it really
that. I
is.
think
Is that a
silencers-
problem?
But I don't want the city to pay for
Yeah,
it.
it is. Would that help, do you think? I mean, can I ask? I mean, you can,
Are
I'd
they
like to know
all
what
the
you hear.
time? Is
You hear them, I think, this hitting trees, you hear more.
Yeah,
I mean, you hit the basket once, but
okay, thank you. What's the cost of the silencers?
Silencers, usually they vary between like $10 to $30. If you get the fancy ones, they're like $30. If you get like cheap ones, they're like $10.
can they be
They vary between
just
that price range.
installed on all?
Just
like
put them
I
in.
mean, it seems pretty cheap to,
Yeah, let's do it.
That's what I would recommend.
at least,
It's not just for
Help.
events.
They might have to be replaced if they're just foam, you know?
Right.
Well, I'd say the club said they would pay for them, so the council can recommend that Breezy
They
Point
did
Disc
say
Golf Club
that.
pay for the silencers. They've been talking about that for a year now. Well, we'll put those on. And I haven't volunteered to do it yet
let's-
at this point, but they said they would.
Maybe propose that we add those, but ask heavy users of it, or I
Yeah,
don't know, the
yeah, Shane.
club.
right. If they would be
Willing
willing
to-
to help with the cost.
So I
of
guess
it.
the
Follow up on
question
that.
is
offer.
then if they say they're not going to follow up on it, is the city, I guess, I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer, but if they say no, are we still just going to buy them anyways?
That would be my recommendation for the cost of it, and I think that the help that would give.
I just don't want to see us spend any more money on this. If we get we want to get the good kind of $30 a kind times 36, that's over $1,000. If they're going to buy them, they only need to buy them for the holes where there's homes that are directly impacted. I mean, I have 4 baskets I can see from my deck. Jonathan can probably see, what, 2? But I just don't want the city to have to pay any more for this.
But if it helps the neighborhood,
Right.
you know, I mean, the whole purpose of it is to help the residents so that there is something. I think it'd be worth it, don't you? You know?
I'm willing to try anything, I guess, yeah.
So I guess then we could make a recommendation that we approach the club and ask if they would be willing to purchase the silencers, and if not, we come back and at the next meeting and discuss how we can fund that.
Yeah,
would be my
Go from
choice.
there.
Because I think we should move forward with those.
I agree.
I do too.
So we get a
Makes
motion on
sense.
that?
That can be a motion. How's that?
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay. So just to.
To
just to-
approach the club
Yep,
to provide silencers.
yep.
Okay, so we're talking about just silencers. So adding silencers to all the baskets?
That would
Is
be
the
my
motion?
recommendation, would be do them all.
Or at least the new course.
Expansion, I'd say.
Nobody's
I've walked the-
complained about the old, on the old course, but so for right now, we could start with
With
just
the
the new.
expansion.
Yeah, so I think the expansion, I mean,
Start with the expansion. And then we can, because I think they're looking at upgrading the old ones anyway sometime, at some point.
Okay.
So the new 18.
The new baskets, then.
The new 18 silencers, approach the club to provide those, purchase them, and
Okay, so the motion I'm hearing then is, I just want to make sure we know
Yeah.
what the motion is clearly. It's to add silencers to the new course and only the new course. So all of those baskets, all 18 on the new course would get silencers. And we're going to try to ask the disc golf club or something.
I'm happy
I
to
guess,
have a conversation with them,
chat with them and see if they'd
Yep.
be willing to pay for it.
Okay.
or
Yes.
whoever needs to take care. Yes.
Yes, that's the
motion.
motion.
Can I ask him a question?
Yes.
Do you see, Jonathan, do you see anything else, if you did the silencers on the baskets, and we're talking about buffers and things like that now, is there really? Outside of moving holes?
Yeah, I think that's honestly just the thing. I think, yeah, anything helps, but the chains, I think, is the least of the sound issues. It's hitting trees, it's the talk.
Voices,
Right, well,
yeah.
we can't do anything about that.
I mean, I don't think, like, I think, what's the word? Any kind of like barrier would obscure, you wouldn't see the players, but you would still hear them. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. Like, other than growing really thick trees, I think it's just too close to property lines, that's the main problem.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor on what was just talked about. We'll ask the disc golf club to play, add the silencers just to the new course. The second was Arnie before. Are you still okay with that? Good. Okay, so then we have we have a motion on the floor with a second, so
Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Or further discussion, I guess I should ask.
this is just the silencer we're voting on. Okay.
yes.
Yep. And approaching the club, not us purchasing, but
okay, yep.
approaching the club
Yeah.
specifically to cover that cost.
Okay.
And if not, then it comes back to us and we decide.
Sounds good.
So those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, so the last item circles back around a bit to some of the stuff you were talking about before for tournaments, when they're going to be held, what is a tournament, number of people, those associated rules, participation limits, that kind of stuff. So however you guys would like to tackle that, you've already talked about it a little bit. If you want to lead with a motion on some simple things, we could do that, and then we could continue conversation after, or if you want to talk about it now, and then.
Let's just start with what we talked about already. Let's, tournaments between May 15th and September 28th for maximum foliage.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Hold tournaments only between May 15th and September 28th for maximum foliage
Why would it not just be the end of September?
to ensure the tree buffer on the course because the leaves are falling off and
And by the 30th?
Couple days.
I just thought it seems like going to the end of September, but.
oh, okay,
Yeah, I
30th.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
30th.
I mean-
Oh, you mean just like, yeah, 30th.
Yeah, 2 days.
Let's say
It's
30th.
just all I'm thinking. It's the 20th
not
seems like just
February,
an
yeah.
arbitrary number that,
30th, that's just right. 30, wait, 30 days? No, 30.
That's
Yep.
mid-May.
Yeah, that
30
makes sense.
days has September.
Yes, sorry.
I second
It's not
that.
February, what am I thinking?
Do we, is it I'm trying to think of May 15th is our,
It can be pretty late then.
so I'm wondering if it's like June 1st to September 30th. I don't know, just to give it a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not covered till at least the end of May.
I'd say June 1st.
I don't know. Those are more of the summer months, but,
Are you
so that's still
willing to
June,
amend
July, August, September. It's still.
I'd like to make a motion for June 1st to September 30th.
Okay, sorry.
We have
Procedural.
two motions
Already
right
made
now.
one.
Two motions on the floor.
Right.
So right now we have a motion that's May 15th to September 28th. It sounds like you might want to amend your motion to be June 1st to September 30th. You don't have to. If you're not comfortable with that change, then we can vote on the motion on the floor.
It just seems like we have short summers.
Right.
And if we're only going to limit the tournaments to so many, that it limits us a little more.
Well, what are we, maybe we should
months.
decide what we're going to limit them to before we decide on the actual time frame.
It could all be together.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Okay.
procedural, we do have a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do actually have to vote on this specific motion.
Was there a
before we-
second?
There was a second.
Okay.
What were the dates you decided to put?
Well, I had said May 15th to September 30th now, because we already amended it to 30th
Okay.
Put out
from
a
the
Labor
28th.
Memorial Weekend.
Yeah, because then that's pretty much,
That, you know,
I'll second that motion.
okay.
Okay, because you had already seconded. So,
Yeah,
so the
okay.
motion
I
is,
still
Amendment.
stay, yeah,
okay.
Amendment, you still second it.
yeah, which is till the 30th, not the 28th, is her amendment.
Amended to the 30th. Okay, so
And
we
then I-
amended to the 30th, so then
Yes.
it's May
September.
15th.
Yeah.
To September 30th.
Yes.
That's motion on the floor. We have a first, we have a second.
Yes.
Further discussion. If you want to have further discussion.
So Sandy made a motion too. Do we just?
Can't have two
Can't-
motions
We
on the
can't have two
floor.
at once?
On the floor.
She
There
didn't
has to-
know we-
We have
Okay.
to address the first
Okay,
motion.
well, I'm just going to say, I much prefer the June 1st to September 30th option myself. There'll be more leaves on the trees, and Memorial Day weekend, everybody's busy, and if they decide to have over something, then maybe we won't notice it as much, but I guess that's my thought.
I think it would help the neighbors.
Nothing process
You know, just if
all
you
of
got
this.
past Memorial Weekend, they'd have a, you know, maybe not have 300 people in their backyard.
I would be surprised to see one at the, in May.
They were there in April 2 years ago.
Depending on the weather, right?
Depends on
It's
the-
depending on the weather, it's like.
Well, that's the other thing.
It's early then,
This is a seasonal golf course. We're not allowing year-round play, I'm assuming.
right.
Is that correct? 'Cause I know some of these courses allow year-round play.
We actually had not decided that.
We've played on
That was part of what
Thanksgiving
you guys, I figured, would
with our
discuss tonight as
family.
well. Would be when are we allowing play? But this
Guess if they
motion
wanna
right here
freeze their
would make it
butts
so they
off,
can't play
they can
during the
go for
winter.
it.
Because,
Okay, okay.
well, okay, that's
That's
not,
just tournaments.
this would make it so that they can't hold events as
Events.
designated by the permit. I mean, anyone at any point could go out and just throw a disc.
Oh, yeah.
They want
It's
to
kind
freeze
of-
The
their
official
tushies off.
season is May 15th.
Okay.
September 30th.
So-
That's their official disc golf
For us to
season. and-
regulate just like
So that's
single person play, like
Right.
just during the winter, unless we just straight up pull the baskets out of the ground.
What's the plan? Are they going to leave them in over the winter?
I believe so, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll need to talk to
They
Joe
have,
about
because I've
that.
snowshoed in there, and that's the way I found my way
It's
around.
all cemented in and just, yeah. All right, so there's a motion on the table. Let's go ahead and vote. Those in favor?
I,
This is for the 15th to the
15th to the 30th tournaments.
May.
Nay.
So was that 3 yes, 2 no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So that's the date limits piece of it.
Bogland. Sorry, I just want to make sure.
Nope, you're good. You have
Make sure, because we need. to-
processing time.
Okay. Okay, so that was the first one. There's still a lot of things that you
So-
guys wanted to consider, so.
So number of events and number of people, I think, are two other important details that we need to,
So 2 two-day tournaments, I think. And 3 to 4 one-day tournaments.
per month
The year.
or the year?
The season.
The season.
The year, whatever. It's a season is the season, is the year. 180 people limit, 90 for the one day, 180 for the 2-day. And this didn't come from me because I don't know squat, so I asked someone who knows. And that's what he recommended.
Well, I was thinking
and that's
about the
what's
number of
typical.
people would be, like, if you have a gathering of, I don't know.
This is what came from what's typical.
Yeah, but I didn't know if there should be, I wasn't thinking of a limit on the end. I was thinking
club
of
side.
what qualifies as an event.
Yeah.
So just the starting number.
Oh, okay.
Of what would require them
Oh, I
to
see.
make an application. So like if we have at least 40 or 50 people, or I don't know, like,
Well, for these big tournaments, they want, I'd say once a month.
right.
That's a lot.
Once a month?
Big tournaments?
They're talking about one, they want one every other weekend originally.
No, he said 2 two-day tournaments a year is what he would recommend for these 2 courses.
That's not what I've heard from him in the past, but
Well, that's what I got. And
And they're not maybe the only club too. I mean, we have to consider that
yeah,
there's other.
but he's thinking about this course as keeping it, in good shape.
Okay,
and
so
then
there's
keeping
4
it
months.
For the neighbors too, so.
So could we limit to one event a month? One 2-day event?
No more than that.
Because then a quarter of the weekends would be available. I mean, not saying that they're going to do that.
And they're not the only club, so, if it
Right,
picks
right.
up.
It's not, so 4 one-day events and 2, on how many, 1 a month, 2-day events, is that what you're saying?
I just think events general.
In general, like 1 per month.
Whether
Whether
it's
they
1
choose
or
to do
2-day.
1 or 2-day, that's.
one weekend a month, they can tie it up.
Yep.
Yeah,
1 event per month, and it's, yeah.
within the season.
May, June, July, August, September. It's 5 months.
4,
1,
'cause they won't have one in May probably.
yeah, May 15th, so they could do
Could.
it. June,
Or
July, August,
that'd be
September,
4
5.
tournaments a season. June, July, August,
5
September.
with the May.
I'd say a max of 4 tournaments, that's enough.
Yeah.
That's 5.
Because they're using it, Brainerd and Bemidji and the Breezy Point, they're using it for their league play every week.
Yeah, and league is about 25 people at the max, I guess.
I've been driving by for 2 months, and there's 7, 8 cars there on Sunday mornings for the Breezy Point Leagues. There's probably 10 people.
So events, considered an event, what do we want to make that minimum number? 50? That's a pretty good number.
At 50, you need to have a permit? How many people?
Yeah, that's what we're asking.
Or
What do we think?
25, I don't know, like
25 is
What's
about
relevant?
the height of league play.
okay,
So I think we need to go above that.
yep, okay.
But 40?
40, I'd say.
40 to 90, because you said
Yeah.
that was a
Because we start
recommendation
with the
would be
one days
90.
of 90, yeah.
So 40
Well, no,
to
40
90.
to 180, because that's our limit. I mean, they don't
They
have
can't
to have
have, they
180.
can't
they don't
have
to
300 people at a tournament?
No. 180 people in
How
the
do you monitor
playing,
that?
Playing.
or 90 people playing.
There's only so much room.
90
too,
on each
for-
course. There's only so many hours in the day, and when
Shotgun
they
and-
tee off and blah, blah, blah. So it's 90 on one course, 90 on the other, so 180 is the limit.
Okay.
So we start at 40 to 180, and they can have any number below that they want. If they want to have a tournament with less than 90 and 180, they are still paying the same price.
Sure, that sounds,
So 40 would be the start of event, needing to write out an application.
I'm gonna need all that you just said in a motion.
Yep.
okay. So I'm gonna make,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna make a motion that an application must be completed for 40
Or more?
or more people with a max number of 180 participants.
And then do you want to add the one event per month in that motion? So it's
Yeah.
tied together, or do you want two separate?
You want
motions?
separate?
Sorry.
Do you want separate motions?
You can tie those together. That's not a problem if you want to tie both of those together.
Well, wonder if it's 5 two-day tournaments. That's a lot more
Then
production. That's
two
a bigger
2 days and
production.
4 1 days.
Limiting it to 4 weekends.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm saying 2 two-day tournaments and maybe 4 one-day tournaments in the 5 months that we have.
But I can't break it up that way. If you have one tournament on a Saturday, that's a weekend used.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. We're piecemeal. They'll try to do it every weekend then.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm going to
back
take
to
back what
our
I just
motion.
said.
Let's do two separate
can't
Let's
put
do
them
two
together,
separate
let's just do it,
motions.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm-
so the number of people limit,
Yeah, so let's do minimum
There's a
40,
motion.
maximum 180. That's the
Yes.
motion on the floor by you.
Okay.
yes.
Do we have a
I'll
second?
second that.
Okay. Okay.
All those, any more discussion on the numbers? People, okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. So now, number of events. We've heard a variety of different things. My concern with having more frequent one-day events is, I would hate to see our course be used 50% of the time or 50% of weekends or something, I guess. I do like the idea that that's mostly public use, a majority of open to anybody.
And we're assuming they're all on the weekends, is that right? We're assuming.
Yeah.
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 So I
Assuming
guess
some of
I
them
would
work.
like to just see it one event per month,
Yeah.
not based on if it's a 1 day or a 2 day
Right.
or anything.
Yes.
I prefer just one event per month.
Limited solely
Limit.
to weekends.
No?
No?
I guess if they wanted to do it on a Tuesday.
I just
what's
bring that
the-
up because, I mean, we're just assuming it's
Yeah.
weekends, but,
So one event per month.
okay. 5 events max per year, total.
Sure.
Permittable.
Matter if they're 1 or 2
permittable
day.
tournaments, okay.
Permittable, there you go.
And then if there's an event in June, then that's not available
Right.
for the next applicant. So should I say that again?
Well, we do need a motion.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to limit
Permittable tournaments.
one event per month, regardless of the number of days or,
I'll second that.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. City Council's going to have some, actually, I'll be there.
Yeah, this is good. Now, this is a lot to relay.
Our recommendations we'll be able to present.
Okay, I mean, that does kind of cover most of it, but was there anything else you guys?
Yeah.
We covered participation limits. Oh, we haven't really talked about rules, I guess. So we've defined tournaments, we've talked about the max number of players, the limit per month. Did you want to add like specific rules outside of that to the tournament of some kind?
Such as?
I'm not sure, to be honest, sir.
I guess I would think like between the alcohol, smoking, yeah, maybe.
You want to put hours, you know, daybreak to, or 8 AM, 9 AM until dark, or
You're right.
do you want to make
They
it?
want to start, like golfers start at 6:30 in
Right.
the morning if it's, I mean.
Is it,
They want
you
to get
know,
out of there.
sunrise
Good
to
for them.
sunset?
Are we trying to
Obviously, it's
regulate
closing.
something that's a non-issue?
Aren't there
Right.
hours listed at like 8 to 10 or something like that on the signs? I know I saw that some before one park. That's at 8 o'clock.
The
to-
beaches,
At the beaches?
the
There's
beaches.
waking up neighbors too, I want to think about that. So
Yeah.
if maybe we don't do sunrise, because that would be too early to hear things hitting in
Yeah.
the trees. So 8 o'clock,
For a tournament,
To
for an
start.
event, yeah.
events only.
That's,
Until dark, because it's not lit, so it
Right.
needs to end at,
they don't need to be out there.
I mean, like, we don't want jet skis on the lake until 9.
right.
That's the rule.
Well, it's
don't
an
wanna
hour
wake up,
before sunset.
Yeah,
If it's okay, I would prefer an actual time, not
8 a.m.?
sunset, because sunset's a little,
Different every day.
8 to 8.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
and that's in the summer, that's still light till 8, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's late
Not
enough.
now.
Because then you do have kids and families going to bed.
Yep.
Okay. So motion on the motion for events, limiting the hours from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Permittable events, because apparently there's other kinds of events.
Permittable events.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
I did want to get back to the one thing I was going to bring up before on food and beverages. He said that Shiners has taken orders and done deliveries for the past 6 tournaments. So we're not really asking, we're just wanting to know if that's happening. That's kind of what this form is, right?
Yes.
Where's Shiners at?
They're up
Jenkins.
371. They're really good if you haven't been there. They're like a
is
sub
very
shop
good.
with,
Subs are really
they're locally owned.
Subs and salads.
Sub and soup shop.
It's not Breezy Point, though.
Jenkins.
No.
Yeah, well, the only reason I bring it up, and again, I know I go down this path, but he said that each disc golfer, when they come to tournaments, spend $50 locally here in the Breezy Point businesses. So I'm for not letting that happen personally. They can come down here to spend the money at Subway.
I'd rather do a local person than a.
I guess I don't
chain
really care if
restaurant.
they have food or beverages.
Yeah, so I don't even know.
They
what-
could hike it in. They could bring a PB&J. Like, I don't know, like,
Who's going to regulate that?
I mean, do we need this on there?
does that section need to?
I guess if they were going to have, a food truck come in.
If they're gonna grill something.
Right.
If they're gonna grill something, we should know about it, I suppose.
Personally, just for sanitation services, I kind of like to have that item there because it helps inform everybody, like if they're
Well, and for
ordering
that
from Shiners or whatever, then
Post
there's going to
cleanup
be
too, how much trash is there gonna be?
wrappers or whatever. It is kind of helpful. We can remove
Just to
it, you
have
guys-
that so that we know.
So it's just an FYI section, really, basically, right?
And that somebody could say just NA, it's not applicable, they're not having anything.
Okay.
I guess it doesn't hurt to be there.
I think if we're supporting, there's a lot of small communities that we try to support, whether or not in the area. So if it's a food vendor from
Or a
anyone in
food
the
truck or
area,
something.
right?
Like, could we have a food truck in the parking lot?
Just quoting what he told the council and us, the public.
Could we have a food truck in the parking lot? I mean,
Like Barajas or something.
yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing. That would be what we'd be putting down on here.
That's what
Right.
somebody would write.
Okay. All right.
So
That
we'll allow
clarifies.
them to sell food there.
The food truck?
Well, it just this says, will there be food vendors?
And then will food be sold or given away?
Yep.
So does it matter if they sell food there?
Well, somebody to sell food in our town would have to also, I believe,
There's
apply for a
permits,
permit.
and it says
for
that right there.
Yeah.
So that's on there already.
Like they would have to pay or have a permit for that as a separate additional piece.
Yeah, they would be required to get any related permits or anything that, yeah. This permit doesn't override other permits in that sense. Like, it doesn't give them free access to just do whatever they want, you know, it doesn't work that way.
I think
I
we're-
kinda
we're
feel
all good with
like-
that, right?
I'm done with the permit.
Yes.
Wait a minute, one more thing. How about a damage deposit? If something gets
Is that-
damaged,
is
they
that-
have to pay $300.
Is that
Or a
tied into
fully
the?
refundable damage deposit for $300 in case the porta potty gets trashed, or, I don't know, somebody runs into a wastebasket.
I like that idea. I'll motion that we charge a $300 damage deposit, cash.
Refundable.
Refundable.
Fully refundable.
Refundable, yeah,
Yep.
after inspection.
I'll second that.
Do you want to make the motion?
I did.
He
You
did,
did? Okay, you
Repeat
seconded
that
it?
motion
Okay.
for me, sir?
That we collect a damage deposit on a permittable
Refundable.
event of $300. That will be refundable after inspection.
in addition to the fee.
Yep, yep.
And really, Joe and his team would be the ones to say. if
They would
something
go
got
out
wrecked.
and
Yep.
check it out, yeah. They have to go out and empty the stuff.
Okay, so,
Any further discussion?
second, yeah.
Second was
Seconded.
Sandra,
I see.
You,
or Sandy. I should say it's okay. All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okey doke.
okay, moving on to the next item.
Yes.
Me. I have no idea where I'm
Old business.
I knew that was going to be a big one.
Okay, so moving on to old business. Parks Master Plan update, section review from last time. As you guys know, we're working on the master plan. I took your guys' comments back on section 2 for parks. I tried to implement it as best as I could. Sort of went through and futzed with it and cleaned it up and did all that stuff. I don't have any pictures in it yet, just because I haven't had a chance to go out to actually take pictures yet. Also, the weather's been kind of meh, and I don't really want to have like dreary, rainy pictures in the master plan if I can avoid it, just personal taste. But the text of it is all basically there. There is some stuff that's highlighted that I wanted to bring to your attention in this, just because I wanted to talk about a few things. Right now, my plan was to leave Appendix C in, which was the previous recommendations from the 2011 master plan, just because it's historical documentation. I think it's useful to have in there, just so that everybody kind of knows where it is and what it is and whatnot. And I went through, obviously, I cleaned up all the sections, tried to kind of add the proposed improvements and clean it up. Added the section for the fishing dock, because the old one, it wasn't constructed yet, so the old document was talking about constructing it, and so that got cleaned up. And I wasn't sure what you guys wanted to call Park 6, which was the disc golf course. There's been talks before about naming it a recreation area. There's been talks about just leaving it named the disc golf course. So I wanted to go over with you guys what you thought about that. So, thoughts?
I think the area should be the, what we said. Where are we? What page is it?
That's page 18.
Okay.
18.
Yeah, what, I read through it, but now, okay. Is Park Reserve, calling that the Breezy Point Park Reserve, and then within that we have disc golf course and Breezy Overlook Golf Course.
Any thoughts on that, or everybody's neutral?
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah. Rather than,
Did you get it
Breezy
down?
Point Park Reserve. You said to name it, instead of
General
recreation area, it was Breezy Point Park Reserve.
Reserve or preserve? Reserve?
Preserve.
Preserve?
Might be preserve. I'm not.
Park Reserve,
Okay.
reserve, not preserve.
Reserve.
R-E-S-E-R-E, yeah.
What is the definition of that?
I was
Like
just-
Elm Creek Park Reserve.
No, but what is it, like, for a park, what is the actual definition of a reserve? Can we look it up? Does anybody have a phone?
I'm looking.
Well, I'm wondering, I kind of like the recreation area because I see it as a multi-use. I mean, there are trails that go around the edge.
Yeah,
There's,
I think they both
little
mean
bit
the
might be
same
a-
thing.
to people who don't
A
live here,
park.
though. You know, it's like a recreation area. I would think that there'd be a playground, there'd be a, you know, so it might
that was
be a
our
little
plan
confusing.
originally, was to make a pavilion and a playground. And I mean,
I was just thinking Breezy, because of the Elm Creek Park Reserve has disc golf, they have skiing, they have snowshoeing, they have multiple things in that, and that's what they called it. So I
What
figured they
is the
must have had a good
definition of
reason
it?
for that.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Oh.
Attractive land managed so as to preserve its flora, fauna, and physical features. That's a nature reserve, not park reserve. Hang on. That's what came up. Look, park. Yeah, I think it's limiting to call it just the disc golf because, you know, like you said, the snowshoeing, the walking,
sledding.
it's,
Some people
yeah,
go sledding.
sledding.
Sliding, yep, we're for sure having that. And then we will hopefully get, you know, picnic tables in a pavilion, but still, it's multi-use. And then designating, you know, the Breezy Point Disc Golf Course is what the original was called, and then we just called the new one, I was thinking Overlook Disc Golf Course, because it's on Overlook. Or
Can it just,
number 2. But that's a little, meh.
So you were thinking disc golf, say the name, sorry, can you say the names of the disc golf courses again?
Well, the original is Breezy Point DGC, the disc golf course, and then the other one would be the Breezy Overlook Disc Golf Course.
I just think of them as, I guess I'm so literal with golf. I'm thinking like front 9, back 9. Like front 18, back 18. I don't know.
But that
Yeah,
does have
rather
specific
than
golf
separate 'em, yeah.
meanings, because you can play one or the other before or after, so there's not a front or back, like the front 9 would be the one you play first, and the back would be the second. So that's more of a literal, you know, term for golf.
I just think keep it simple. I don't
Can you
know.
do Breezy Point Disc Golf 2?
Yeah, that's what I was saying, but
one,
it's just a
course
little bit,
two.
yeah, but yeah, you could. Simple, keeps it simple. It's not as descriptive, but
Thinking
it's definitely.
I'm thinking for just labeling too. I mean, because it's all part of the same park. It's just 2 courses.
But
So.
if people come in, they're gonna come in one way or the other. That's why I was thinking, what street does the other one come in on?
Oh, the other one is actually intended, would be like a maintenance
Yeah,
entrance only.
right, so we're
Right,
all
so then
coming
we
in
don't-
on
So
over.
they're gonna come
We're gonna
in
all-
and they're either gonna go left or they're gonna go right.
Yep.
So they're all gonna come in that
1 and
bigger.
2 would make it.
I say 1 and 2.
Original, the OG.
The OG then will be the second course from coming in, you know what I mean? You're entering.
But
from that
they-
new
it's-
course.
You could have signs that just go, you know.
Yeah.
But they are gonna
Renumber, right?
They are they will be renumbering, so
first
we
hole
can.
from that entrance
From there,
anyway,
and then
okay.
it will flip through.
That
and
makes
then
sense.
So it's like this big,
Art.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
The
just, would-
OG, I like that. Let's just call it that.
it makes me think of like MTV or something.
Are there any words that are associated with our
First or,
community that, you know, I mean, you know, something like the loon course and the bear course, or, you know, so that you're naming it something.
Well, how about the eagle? Because that's a golf term, and if you hit it in one, you've got an eagle, and they're all over in there. What would the other one be then? Skunk.
There's a lot of deer.
Deer. I don't know, I like
Turkeys.
1 and 2.
yeah, they're everywhere. No. I don't know. I feel like this is
Somebody pick one, let's
a
vote.
brainstorm, yeah.
We're getting tired. Okay.
I vote for 1 and 2, make it easy.
I like.
I'll second it.
I like the Breezy Point Reserve. I like that.
Park Reserve.
Park Reserve.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Breezy Point Park Reserve, 1 and 2. And
I don't
second.
really
Course
need a
one,
motion
course
on
two.
this because it's master plan stuff. I mean,
Okay,
you can motion
yeah.
if you want, but you're just directing me to do stuff, so.
Yeah.
But we're going to make signs from this and everything, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's,
Yep.
and
This
this
is
is
the
still
start of our
proposal. I
getting-
mean, I guess city council can still,
Yep.
Yeah, they can.
Change
So then
whatever.
we're gonna, it's changing out to Breezy Point Park Reserve, and then I'll just specify in the body that it's Breezy Point Disc Golf Course 1 and 2.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And eventually we'll need to take off that,
That other
green
entrance,
scene
the green
entrance,
scene.
parking spaces, but
'Cause
not
we-
yet. We're
yeah.
not there yet. Because I think it's truly, yeah,
Because we don't really want to encourage people to use that after.
that won't be a main entrance.
Right.
Afterwards.
I still think we need to have a second bathroom. I don't want anyone urinating in anyone's yard. I don't want to have an accident somewhere because I'm out in the middle of the thing without, I think there should be one
Well,
porta
and,
potty on each course.
but they start at the same spot. Well,
Yeah, but you're in the middle.
tricky
You're
on
still
getting
gonna
them
be by
out
that
there.
park-
The back
I
part,
think
and
by
it's
that
hard to get them
parking
in
lot-
there because it's really steep.
yeah.
Still where that parking lot is, where you entered now, I think that would be the smart spot, because it's still gonna be
That's true.
partway
Yeah.
in both of them.
There's no way these golfers aren't going to be going to the bathroom back. in my
Golfers on a
neighborhood.
regular course go
They
pee
do.
wherever they want.
They do. You're just not going to stop it.
Well, I'm gonna say.
neighborhoods
I've
there
been
too.
They put one
hiking
back.
around,
I've
and
been
I have
asking
to
for that
go.
for a month, for a year.
If you got nowhere to go, you got nowhere to go. I mean, and you have to go. So I've had it happen where I've had to. And I
Right.
don't like it. And I don't want that to happen. So I really think it's important to have 2 bathrooms. Nobody wants to do that. I mean, guys do it, whatever, but nobody else wants to do that.
Well, and originally
Most
we
guys
talked
shouldn't be
about
doing it.
where these two things intersect was having like a bathroom, like
Like
one like
this.
out here
Yeah.
that gets
Yes,
winterized.
yes.
That's like that was the
I definitely think there
bigger.
should be one like, they call it a camp back,
Goal for the future.
camp bathroom.
So right now, I just have consider additional amenities such as a playground, shelter pavilion, or permanent restroom. Do you want to make like, do you want to separate restroom and
And
make like an
second
actual?
bathroom.
I'm against all that stuff. Let's see what happens here this year before we start recommending that stuff.
Go back to the bathroom.
Those are
That's just future future ideas.
Yeah.
Possibilities.
Are we on the workshop now?
Yeah.
No, we're not. This is reviewing the one that we did last week.
We're
I think it's
reviewing-
good the way it is. I guess. Just update the name.
It says consider, it doesn't, it's not binding, it says consider additional amenities.
Right,
It's a consideration for future.
and that's what we're doing, yep. So we threw out those.
This is in another language.
It's lorem ipsum, it's just junk text. I use it for
Because
just kind of
that's the
filling
next
in a
section.
spacing so that you see that's where the next section
Okay,
is.
thank you.
Yeah,
Like,
it's made up language. Is there anything else you guys saw in there that you wanted to change or tweak about? Okay. Okay, then I guess we can
Another
move on from
report?
old business then,
Yeah.
and you can go to the next items.
committee member reports. I haven't visited with anybody recently. Okay.
Wait,
I'll make,
I want to talk about what I started before. We were talking about how Wade was kind of our liaison, or had been to previous, whoever's been here before, whoever, Diane, we need you. Wade is not going to be the head of that group anymore. Shane, we need like an ex officio liaison for the disc golf course because none of us are experts at any of it. And we're shooting from the hip. So we somehow designate Shane as a ex officio liaison or a ambassador or whatever you want to call him.
I don't see a need for a formal role. I see it as
As a resource.
welcoming people to give us advice as we want, but
But we
I
need
don't
advice
want-
on a proactive basis. Like, we need them there. Like, we need a workshop to really finish up all the stuff that needs to get done for the disc golf course to get going, forwarding, as far as like the kiosk, the signage, the rules, the trail maps, the blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's a lot left to do.
yes, there is.
And we can't just sit here and guess at it and then go back to him. He needs to be here. So
Can we just invite a guest?
Yeah.
If.
Well, that's what I mean. Let's say-
When
let's-
we're
can we
ready,
yeah.
do we need to name him as,
I don't want to put any preference on any certain,
Like I said, Wade was the ambassador
know.
that they called. So are we going to not have that anymore?
and he wasn't even it wasn't a, things, the reality of things and how things get explained sometimes are just so,
What
he
was,
wasn't
a resource
he was a
person to
resource
you.
that gave us advice sometimes. He was not a named, I don't know.
it wasn't appointed
It
to
wasn't
a
an efficient
position.
role or anything. It was just, we would bounce ideas off of him.
well, I think we need to utilize him as that advice person, and especially when we're doing big things like we are, and have that expertise. And I think we need to have a special workshop to finish this stuff off so we can get it done and have it ready to go for next year. And I know we have all these workshops, but we need to get one in.
Well, and I think that's stuff
Invite
that
him
can happen
to-
in winter too, because it's not happening this year.
It's a March workshop, if you ask me.
Like,
What?
It's a March workshop.
I was thinking February, January.
Oh, we got to make up kiosks and stuff? I mean, you know,
Kiosk, what do you mean
things
kiosk?
have to be signage
Oh.
with a thing that
Yeah,
says.
with a
With
map
the QR codes and maps, that has to be done. People can't turn on a dime.
I didn't think that they'd gone
And
forward
nobody
with
does
the,
anything in
with the,
December, you know that for sure.
What is the QR codes going to be for now?
Well, it would be a link to a map, right?
A link to a map, a link to,
Rules.
if they want to pay, we got to decide if people are going to be able to volunteer to donate $10 or $5 a time or whatever amount they want to when they're going. Like when I ride on a trail, I'll donate $5 to a bike trail that says if you want to donate to drive on this part of the trail and keep it up. The sponsors.
I'm just
he's
weary
talking about the
of relying on
sponsors.
one person. I don't know, but
We're asking for what they know. And
Well,
we
we relied
are-
on him to build the course, so.
We're smart enough to know when an
Take
opinion
advice
is
and then
coming
we
in.
make a decision.
Yeah.
I mean,
We just need information or where to look for it even from him for future.
Well, again, isn't that something you just invite him to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Could we
he's got
invite him
pictures
to
of like
another-
17 golf courses, signs, and all their rules on it, and how the QR codes in the front, you know.
well, because we've talked a lot about if we have the rules posted, then they're enforceable. I mean, Joe said that several times.
Right.
That, so that needs to, and we want it to look nice. I
Yep.
mean, we don't
I
just
kn-
want to keep tacking up different
Right.
signs and it looks
So
tacky.
having it
and-
link to that QR code and then like the U-Disc, they'll do the course map, so that will save us a lot of money. They'll submit it to, for public use.
so can we propose then, I mean, to invite somebody to, I feel like right now our plates are plentiful with this master plan. Like, I feel like that is a winter thing or a December or something. Like, right now, but maybe,
I mean, this is what's really happening in reality right now. This is happening, and we need to move forward and make it finish.
Need time to get that
This is
stuff
future
ready, so
planning,
it's
so
ready.
I think this is a huge priority too, but that's something that other people need to work on stuff. If we're gonna actually get a financial system for us to be able to take in money, that has to go back through the council again, and that has to,
Yeah,
a
I
bank
know.
account.
your
has to be
F
set up.
system voted on, Daniel? Has that been approved to go forward on that?
Scholarship or sponsorships, like you were talking about, they want to do it. We haven't given them the ability to do it because we have just pushed it off.
so how about we invite
Why don't we have it on the agenda for a meeting?
We need
and
action
invite 'em?
steps, and we're not going to take care of everything all at
Right.
once. It's not going to,
Yep. Those are the things that are left to be, I said, you know,
Maybe
what else we need to get done? This was a big
designate a
piece of
meeting
it
to do-
tonight. That
that was
good.
a big piece
We
of
got
it.
a lot done
I'm going to
tonight.
intervene for a second here. The council has not authorized any of this.
Right, that's what I just asked. I didn't think that.
So
yeah.
you guys can talk about it if you like, and we could do a workshop if you would like, or things like that, but the council has not requested any of this work.
Want the course to be put into use, and they approved the course.
Right.
Those
so
were
Now they
then-
want us to
Not-
make rules and tournaments.
But they have not authorized any of this additional ex officio
There's
membership.
been
They haven't
provisional
authorized-
discussions.
We're
of
not
things.
saying that, I'm just saying, what was his role? I'm asking.
done?
And what can we do to get an expert in here and get this stuff moving forward? I'm asking questions about what was the role of the first.
I think it was provisional conversations.
Okay,
Nothing
so
has ever been.
that's fine, let's
yeah.
still do that, and then let's make a plan to get the other
Do we,
things done
do
to
we
run the
want
golf
those
course.
things? I mean,
Does the city council have to approve those things first? Like, okay, we want to go through with the QR code, we want to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's going to the council first.
Everything is going to the council.
Yeah.
We need a work session to work on what needs to be done before next spring.
That's what I'm saying.
And
We
break
need
it
a
down.
We need to
workshop
just-
to put it
to-
down, like you said.
well, is that
All the
something
things
that I
that are
could
left
bring
to
to city
do.
council and say,
Here's
our
our list.
committee would, well, and our committee would like to wrap this project up.
Yes.
What are the pieces that you want to have
Have it
done?
ready
And
to
ask
work.
of them,
Yeah.
because they're the ones that dictate what
We work on,
we work on.
yeah.
So could I do that?
Yeah, that would
And
probably be a good way. to
Open
do
that conversation back up,
Yes.
and then.
What
we go
do
from
you
there.
see still needing to be done to open this up and have
Right.
it functional
Or
for
any
next
loose
year?
ends
And then
and-
our goal is to have it
Fully,
ready next
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah, isn't that where?
Moving on
Where
to
you could say at that presentation, whatever, this is,
Yeah.
give the list and go, this is what we're considering. Want to bring it to your attention because they might not even be thinking about it, and then it pushes it off more months. So,
don't know what you don't know,
right.
right?
And then I've just seen how things go.
Well, and
then
I
we're
think
gonna
we
open
bring
up
it
in the
back
spring
to
and we're
city
like,
council then.
Flat-footed.
With, like, when you go up,
You're going to meet with Shane anyway to talk about, or call him or whatever, about the
Well, he needs-
silencers, right?
Part of this too is people need to reach out to me as well. I mean,
Right.
You're going to talk about the silencers with him, right? You said you were going to contact him about that?
I said I would be willing to have a conversation with them, yeah.
Maybe then
I was
get
probably
all
gonna
the items
contact
that are
But
left.
I don't know how that,
I was probably going to contact him about the silencers.
Yeah.
That's more of a staff
Oh,
directive
I thought you
kind
said
of
you were going to.
item.
So are
I
we,
mean,
have we
whoever
finished
would-
tonight's
I'll follow
business then, so we can get to the next, I mean, I got company coming to my house at 7:30.
Ask for what he thinks is left to be done. I mean, sponsorships, I know that. You're very interested in that, getting money from
Well,
sponsorships.
that's what he said he had ready to go. So yeah, where's the money?
We have to give him the ability to deposit it and make it happen.
You
and
can
we
open up a
haven't.
503B, we did it in 2.5 weeks. I don't know why he won't do it.
well, there's,
The things
how
that have
about,
to be finished up with.
I think
and
but
we need to,
regardless
you
of
know,
this, city council needs to be directing some of this and not our, because it's going to look like our own agendas and our own, so I say that we bring
finishing
up
up
things
this
that
golf
had
course. It's not our agenda.
provisional conversations about these items. Are these things that you would like us to still wrap up, or do you want us to pursue these and then we come back?
Yep.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
my recommendation,
Yeah.
would just be to talk to them.
Bring it
when-
back to them.
When you're presenting,
Yeah.
you might want to just bring it up with them.
And that be maybe the last pieces of
There you
my.
go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you need me to make a slideshow?
Just up to you. I mean, you can if you like.
Okay, because that's what I'm used to
Yeah.
doing.
Yep.
That's my job.
Do it.
Yeah, have
I
it
love
submitted to us
slideshows.
and
I'm a
we can
visual
include it
learner.
in the packet and whatnot.
I'll just make it,
Yeah, we can do that.
you do Google Slides.
There's
Has to be
security
PowerPoint.
concerns surrounding links and stuff.
Okay. Because I don't have PowerPoint. Okay, that's later.
Okay.
Can we adjourn?
Yes. I motion to adjourn.
And I'm gonna just put this out there. I feel like I want to do a workshop, but I don't want to do a workshop tonight.
Tonight? I'm with you.
I am,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
you guys are, okay, this will require a motion before you adjourn.
Oh,
So if you want to cancel the workshop tonight or reschedule it or something like that, you can do that if you want. It'll have to be an official voted action, like I said. What are you guys thinking? Are you thinking doing it a different time this month? Or are you
I
thinking about
think we
just,
push it back
To the next meeting.
so I can, yeah.
so essentially this workshop that was scheduled today would be the next workshop after the next
Yes.
meeting?
I'll make a motion, we push tonight's workshop to the next meeting.
Okay, so that pushes our entire framework timeline for the master plan back at minimum a month.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're all understand that.
I feel like we have
I think in
bigger,
light of the lengthy discussion on the event.
that needed to
that-
happen.
That needed to happen, that's important.
I knew that
Okay,
was
so
going
we
to
have
take
a
a
motion on the
ton of
table
time.
from Mr. Toft to push it
second.
back next, second from zero, okay. Sorry.
Do you need a roll call vote or
Just a general vote is fine.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn our
adjourn.
meeting,
Then adjourn, yeah.
I'll make a motion to adjourn our meeting.
7:11.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.